An abrupt disruption of expectation unfolded on live television. What precise sequence of actions led Jungkook to place Jimmy Fallon in a visibly unprepared position? And why did that moment immediately trigger a wave of global reaction? The appearance of BTS on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon had been anticipated as a structured promotional segment. The format was familiar: controlled dialogue, measured humor, and carefully timed performance elements. For the opening minutes, the broadcast followed that exact trajectory. Fallon maintained his established rhythm, guiding the conversation with practiced ease, while the members responded with composure shaped by years of international exposure. Yet beneath this surface stability, a subtle shift in tone began to emerge. The discussion initially centered on the group's return and the conceptual direction of their latest project. The language used was deliberate, emphasizing themes of transition, identity, and reconnection. However, the energy within the studio suggested an underlying unpredictability. Audience reactions were sharper, more immediate, as if anticipating deviation from the expected script. This tension, though unspoken, created a fragile equilibrium that would not hold for long. The transition occurred without formal acknowledgement. Attention gradually converged on Jungkook, whose posture indicated a readiness to move beyond verbal explanation. What began as a reference to choreography evolved into a physical demonstration. His movements were concise, technically precise, and executed with a level of control that suggested rehearsal, yet the context in which they appeared felt spontaneous. The distinction between explanation and performance blurred within seconds. At this point, Fallon remained in his role as observer, responding with light humor. His laughter, consistent with his on-screen persona, functioned as a stabilizing element. However, the dynamic shifted when Jungkook redirected his focus toward him. The gesture was minimal yet decisive. Without explicit verbal instruction, an invitation was extended. The implication was immediate. Participation was no longer optional. Fallon's reaction revealed a brief but critical hesitation. This moment, lasting only a fraction of a second, altered the trajectory of the segment. The audience detected it instantly, responding with heightened anticipation. The structured environment of the talk show began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of unfolding unpredictability. Jungkook repeated the movement, this time with greater clarity, reinforcing the expectation. The first attempt exposed a clear disparity. Fallon's movements lacked synchronization and precision, creating a contrast that was both visually evident and narratively significant. The audience's response intensified, combining amusement with surprise. What had begun as a controlled interaction transformed into a live demonstration of difference between professional execution and improvised imitation. Rather than retreat, Jungkook adapted. His approach shifted from demonstration to guidance, adjusting the pace and emphasizing key elements of the choreography. This adjustment maintained the integrity of the interaction while preventing it from collapsing into disorder. Fallon, now fully engaged, attempted to replicate the sequence once more. The result, though improved, remained imperfect, reinforcing the authenticity of the moment. This interaction, brief in duration, redefined the entire broadcast. The segment no longer functioned as a conventional interview but as a spontaneous exchange that disrupted established expectations. The immediacy of the reaction extended beyond the studio. Viewers across multiple platforms began to respond in real time, generating a surge of commentary that amplified the significance of the moment. The phrase, "What just happened?" emerged repeatedly within these reactions, reflecting a collective attempt to process the event. This was not merely a response to humor or novelty. It indicated a deeper engagement with the unpredictability of the interaction. In a media environment often characterized by controlled narratives, the appearance of genuine spontaneity carried substantial impact. The broadcast proceeded into its performance segment, relocating the focus to a visually distinct environment within the Guggenheim Museum. Here, BTS presented a fully realized execution of their track 2.0. The choreography, previously simplified during the interaction, now appeared in its complete form. The precision, synchronization, and spatial awareness demonstrated during this performance provided context for the earlier moment. What had seemed accessible was revealed to be highly complex. This juxtaposition enhanced the overall narrative. The audience, having witnessed Fallon's attempt, could now fully appreciate the technical demands of the choreography. The earlier interaction functioned as an informal introduction, while the performance served as its definitive expression. Together, they created a layered experience that combined accessibility with mastery. However, the event was not without complications. Reports from attendees indicated inconsistencies in audience experience. While some individuals observed the performance directly, others were assigned to separate viewing areas, relying on live feeds. This division introduced an element of dissatisfaction among certain attendees, particularly those who had invested significant time and effort to be present. The disparity highlighted the logistical challenges associated with high-demand events and the difficulty of balancing accessibility with exclusivity. Despite these concerns, the dominant narrative remained centered on the interaction between Jungkook and Fallon. Its impact overshadowed structural limitations, becoming the defining element of the broadcast. The simplicity of the moment, one individual guiding another through a sequence of movements, contrasted with the scale of its reception. This contrast contributed to its resonance. As the program continued, the tone gradually returned to a more controlled state. Conversations resumed, incorporating humor and reflection. The members shared observations about their time apart and their return to collaborative activity. These exchanges, though less dramatic, reinforced the broader significance of the reunion. The group's presence on the show represented not only a promotional effort but a re-establishment of connection with the global audience. The closing segment introduced direct interaction with selected audience members, whose responses mirrored the broader reaction. Emotional expressions, including surprise and visible excitement, underscored the personal impact of proximity. These moments, though brief, contributed to the overall intensity of the broadcast. Beyond the studio, the event continued to generate discussion. Digital platforms became extensions of the broadcast, hosting analysis, reinterpretation, and repetition of the key moment. The interaction between Jungkook and Fallon was isolated, shared, and examined from multiple perspectives. Its brevity did not limit its influence. Rather, it facilitated rapid dissemination. The significance of this moment lies in its deviation from expectation. In an environment where predictability often governs production, the emergence of unscripted interaction introduced a level of authenticity that resonated strongly with audiences. The absence of visible preparation enhanced credibility, allowing viewers to engage with the event as something immediate and real. Jungkook's role within this interaction was central. His ability to initiate, sustain, and control the sequence without disrupting the broader structure of the program demonstrated a high level of adaptability. Fallon's participation, characterized by initial hesitation followed by commitment, provided a necessary counterbalance. Together, they created a dynamic that was both structured and spontaneous. The broader implications extend beyond a single broadcast. The moment illustrates how minor deviations can produce significant impact when aligned with audience expectations. It also highlights the value of unpredictability within highly structured formats. By introducing an element of risk, the interaction captured attention in a manner that conventional segments often fail to achieve. As the discussion surrounding the event continues, one question remains unresolved.